Hi everybody again. This is Stuart Hamm here. I'd like to welcome you to my second instructional tape for Hot Licks video. This tape we're going to explore in a little more detail, a little more complicated aspects of my playing. For the more advanced students, I'm sure you'll get a lot out of this. I think for the more beginning players out there, it's definitely worth checking out my first video, Slap, Pop, and Tap for the bass. Because in that video, we talk a lot more about the basics, the techniques that we're going to expand on here. So if you haven't checked that out, I think you ought to go ahead and give it a listen and a look. First, we're going to warm up. I think it's really important to stay loose when you're playing. I myself have had some really bad wrist problems that have been hurting me for the last 2 or 3 years. I got advice from a fellow bass player and good friend of mine, Billy Sheehan, and ended up at the Gordon Chiropractic Institute in Hollywood. They fixed me right up. The point is that if you're having problems with your wrists, you should go ahead and get it checked out, because if you put it off, you could end up injuring yourself for life. So it's really important to warm up and relax your hands. One thing to do first with the wrists is to just spend a lot of time slowly putting them back and forth and around like this in both directions to loosen them up, and shaking them out to make sure they're good and loose when you're playing. And any time when you're playing and you start to tighten up, certainly stop and shake out your hands and work around them so they'll stay nice and loose and hot. The other good thing to do is to use a rubber band that I happen to have in my pocket. Put them around your fingers like this and open up like this. You can do it with each finger as well. Another good thing to do is to get a tennis ball and squeeze it like this. The important thing is to always make sure your hands are nice and warm when you're playing, and not to try to just pick up the bass and start playing as fast as you can. Okay, now to loosen up the left hand, I'm just going to show you a few little techniques that I've used. One is a scale working with chromatic scale, basically. And we'll be starting on the C, and basically it'll be played like this. Once again, a little faster. That's just a basic exercise to try to get your left hand fingers just to get warmed up and around the frets. Before we start playing, let's make sure we're all in tune. So I'm going to give you some long tones so you can tune your basses with mine so it will sound wonderful. First, your top G. The D. Her A. And the low E. Okay, we're going to go with the G major 7 arpeggio. Now, anytime you practice this, or in fact anything, I believe it's very important to use a metronome. There are some licks that inherently are easier to play fast than slowly. If this is the case, this is a sure flaw in your technique. I think the really good way to practice is to go through your repertoire and find stuff like that that's easy to play fast, but you have problems playing it slowly. These are the things that you need to work on very slowly. I mean, that's the way you practice, is to take something that you think you could never play that will be impossible, and start out by working it out, the fingering, and then playing it slowly every day. And set your metronome marking, and then every day speed it up a little bit. By this constant rote, obviously you're not going to get worse at it, it's going to get better. And so you should always use the metronome. Another reason is because it will grain the beat in your head, and God knows there are very few drummers out there that you can count on to keep a straight beat. So, Let's go on and start with the G major 7 arpeggio. The way this works is we play the G and the B, the major third, and then for the fifth we play the open D. At this point we jump up to the ninth fret, which will be the major 7th, the F sharp, and then the 10th fret for the G, and then play the arpeggio up here of G, B, D, F sharp, and G. So that would work like this. Now we can do the same thing with the C major 7 arpeggio, this time playing the C on the A string, and the third, the D on the D string, and then using the open G as the jumping up point, playing the B natural on the 14th fret, and your C again on the A string on the 15th fret, and playing the arpeggio up there. Of course, the idea is when you play the open string, this allows your left hand to move up and immediately be in position to play the upper part of the scale. And then playing the open string again, at that point moving your hand back down. So let's play the C major 7 arpeggio.